It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
I can finally hit record on the Wednesday podcast. Recording this, well, I guess it's Wednesday. It's just after midnight on Wednesday, the 5th of February. Thanks for tuning in. Today on the podcast, let me make sure we've got all our ducks in a row. We are talking about a 20 out of 10 menu item. That's right. It's being praised as a 20 out of 10. It's high regards. Let's see how it sounds. We're going to talk about a little Jackbox for you. Is it a recommendation or is it not a recommendation? We'll get into that. You know, I love the Jackbox Party Pack games here. Is this a good one? Worth your money? And then, I'm sorry, we're going back to the well. We're talking sports today on the podcast. I can't get away from it right now. We'll get into that. But we start the episode off with a new 5-star review over on iTunes. You can leave your 5-star reviews on iTunes. And if you do, you get them read right here on the podcast to kick off the podcast. Let's see what we got. This is from Vandy. The title, I'm looking for a pod shout out. All right, here's what it says. Sean's Audible Diary is the best place on the internet to hear the worst takes on sports, bottled water, and music. It's a can't-miss look into the mind of an incredible guy, and I'd give it 6 stars if he would have his most famous Lexington friend on the pod, or at least a random shout-out. Vandy, thank you for the text. Vandy's the dude. Vandy is the man behind one of the biggest YouTube channels. I don't know what, Tyler Childers, bigger YouTube channel coming out of Lexington. Lexington Lab Band. Check him out, Lexington Lab Band. 227,000 subscribers on YouTube. Vandy's got the thing rolling. He's got a squad behind him of amazing musicians, and it is, let me see exactly how he describes it over on his YouTube page. Here you will find a collaboration of Central Kentucky musicians tackling some of the most iconic artists of the last 50 years. Our goal is to honor these great songwriters and play with our interpretation of their best tunes. So it's unbelievable. They do a lot of covers of songs. First of all, Vandy has one of the best voices I've heard, an unbelievable singer, but also a fantastic guitar player. And he's surrounded himself by other great musicians, and they just have smashes over on their YouTube channel. You need to check it out. Their number 1 most viewed video, Waiting for a Girl Like You, Foreigner cover, a Grand Theft Auto Vice City song cover, and that has 34 million views. They're like the Danny Go of lab bands. I'm very impressed by it. Vandy's the man. Love it. I don't want to play. I was going to play it. I'm realizing I don't want to play anything because that's how you get in trouble on the internet. Trust me, go check them out, Lexington Lab Band. And if you want to also potentially see Vandy, come to church at Southland. Come hang out. Come to Southland. Vandy's the music man there, and he is the best. So, Vandy, thank you for the review. You are awesome. And we need to do lunch again soon. We actually went to a place. We went to get hot chicken at Joel's Hot Chicken. It was good. It was good. It was not great. It does not crack my top 5 chicken places to go on to the list of the top 5 chicken places. Doesn't get there. But it was good. It was good. We need to talk food as we dive into today's podcast. A 20 out of 10 menu item. This was the story on the internet this week. I love these kind of stories, and I saw this at a couple different spots, so it had to be covered. This thing blew up on TikTok from @BossVin, and he had claimed there is a 20 out of 10 menu item coming out of Jersey Mike's. So I'm in. I love Jersey Mike's. I think it's a great sandwich place. People have a lot of opinions like chicken places about sandwich spots. I don't think Jersey Mike's can do it wrong. They are really, really good at making sandwiches. So I saw Jersey Mike's. I saw 20 out of 10. Let's dive in together and see what this 20 out of 10 sandwich is. Maybe you can go do this week. I'm here to promote happiness, things to do. I've already given you one great thing to do this week, Lexington Lab Band. Go listen to some music. It's amazing. Now do that while you're eating a great sandwich. Let's see what we've got. So here we go. This is the 20 out of 10 sandwich that's blowing up on TikTok. So we've got a number 10 is the order, a number 10 at Jersey Mike's, which is tuna fish sub. So that already is a red flag for me. Tuna fish sub. I do not hate a tuna fish sandwich. I actually love it. Egg salad sandwich, tuna fish sandwich, those are way up there on the Sean Widmer, let's make it at home if you can make it at home sandwich. I love them. So I'm a pro tuna fish guy. This may already be a huge turnoff to you, but again, 20 out of 10. The internet has spoken. Here's what makes it different. 20 out of 10 includes on this number 10 tuna fish sub, you have it made Mike's way, all right, except for tomatoes. So here is what is on this sub. When you go to do, I kind of want to do it tomorrow. The number 10 tuna fish made Mike's way without tomatoes. It will have the tuna fish sub with onions, lettuce, red wine vinegar, olive oil blend, oregano, and salt. Then you add dill pickles, banana peppers, hot chopped pepper relish, and jalapeno peppers. You do this on their rosemary Parmesan bread. And Vinny, who started this whole thing, who blew up on TikTok, you add honey mustard. Okay, he said this is the one final ingredient you add that just ties it all up in a bow. The one final ingredient that ties up onions, lettuce, red wine vinegar, olive oil, oregano, salt, dill pickles, banana peppers, hot chopped pepper relish, jalapenos on top of a tuna fish sub. The one item is honey mustard, of course. That's the one, though. This is the thing blowing up on the internet. I saw a couple different people who said they tried it. One of them I'm looking at right here because I wanted to see the exact items in readable form as opposed to other videos that are, I don't know what you call it, what a duet or whatever it's called on TikTok when someone does it and they're watching the video and whatever it might be. The person from All Recipes who tried this said the honey mustard was lost on was lost on them. It gave a really great flavor contrast to the mayo, but it wasn't like overwhelming. I don't think they said it tied it all together. He said, this sub thoroughly surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. Well, I'm not sure it will become my regular order because this person loves the number 8, which I believe is the sub club. It certainly has me looking at Jersey Mike's tuna in a different, more appreciative way. I think that's high praise. I'm a big Jersey Mike's guy. There you go. Now you can go try it. Give yourself something to do this weekend. The Jersey Mike number 10 tuna fish sub made Mike's way. There you go. I'm in. I love that. The other thing people are doing right now that's blowing up on social media that is weird to me because it's something that I used to kind of do back in the day, working at 790 The Fan, KJRB, hosting Spokane Sports Show in the year 2006, and then getting like a 20-minute break after the sports show, running down to get dinner and coming back to start the broadcast for the Spokane Indians games, where I'd sit in the studio and make sure the voice of the Spokane Indians at the time, it was Bob Robertson into then Mike Boyle. I would run down to Wendy's, get a baked potato and chili and mix them together, and that was going to be dinner while I listened to the baseball game and made sure it stayed on air. People are now getting the chili and getting it and putting it on a Dave's double or a Dave's triple or even a Dave's single. So they're taking the sandwich, deconstructing it, dumping the chili on, and sort of making a chili burger. And I thought, why didn't I ever think of trying that? Dumb. The amount of times I bought the chili and put it on the baked potato and also had a hamburger and never thought, maybe I should try to add the chili to something different. I just never thought of it. And now people are doing it and it's all over. And I love myself a good trending food item. So those are two things you can try. Jump in with the people. Or, you could be a go against the flow guy and not have any fun and not do these fun things people are trying that are harmless. Or you could do it. Okay, quick, before we get to sports again, Jackbox. I wanted to give a review on this. I mentioned that we did this with Kirsten for her birthday a few weeks ago when we had a big group of people playing Jackbox. Jackbox Survey Scramble. That is the pack that is out by Jackbox. And Jackbox, I think, has 10 party packs out now. I believe that is what they're up to. They have a couple different modes in there, but 10 basic Jackbox party packs. I think they're amazing. I think you can't go wrong with them. I think, $20, $30 is probably going to be the average price of one of these. You will get your money's worth out of them. Available on computers, available on consoles. I think they're amazing purchases. If you're ever somebody who plans on hosting a game night, having people over, these are awesome. So Jackbox Survey Scramble, I'd never heard of. It actually came out on my birthday last year. I didn't realize that. And again, played it a few weeks ago. It is, and let me open Jackbox so I can read it how they have it written. $10 for this. And they advertise it as, here we go. Jackbox has made an all-new party experience, taking real surveys from real people around the globe. The Jackbox Survey Scramble is constantly changing based on answers submitted from the players. So it's kind of doing a Family Feud style thing where it's asking you questions like one we did tonight, Mike, Robin, and I, things at a gas station. And it'll be from the top thing at the gas station to the bottom based on a constantly updating survey that's being taken by people, which makes it very fun because it's not like, well, this survey was taken in 2016, so what did they have back then they don't have now? Constantly updating. So that's really a cool feature. And you play games based on these big surveys where there's 1 to 500, 1 to 300 answers on a specific category. And you're playing different games to try to get these answers. Some of them it's just like, can you name me simple games like, can you name me the highest? Can you name me the lowest? Who does best at that? There's another one where it gives you options of answers. It'll say, things you enjoy for breakfast. Okay, things you'd eat for breakfast. And they'll give you four answers, and you have to pick which one of the four answers is highest on the survey. And if you get it right, you move ahead a space on this racetrack, and whoever gets to the end first wins. So there's all these little mini games inside Jackbox Survey Scramble. So here's what I want to say about it. I'm happy I spent $10 on it. I will get my value out of $10. If you are looking at Jackbox games, though, and you've never got into them, and you're going to see Jackbox Survey Scramble, and you're going to see that it's $10, and it's going to be cheaper than the other Jackbox games, and that might be enticing to you to go, okay, well, let's get the cheaper one, and then if we like it, we'll get the more expensive ones down the line. That's not how this needs to work. So if you're going to get into the Jackbox games, make sure you get the numbered games first. And I even think if you have a couple of the numbered games and you think, well, this Survey Scramble sounds good, that's great, get it. I think it gets my thumbs up, but it's nowhere near as good as any of the numbered party packs, okay? And so that's kind of a big statement because I'm saying you should get Survey Scramble at some point, but in the same vein, it is nowhere near as good as a real party pack, number 1 through 10. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. That's where I fall on it. We enjoyed it tonight, and we had a fun time. We had some good laughs, but I think at the end of the night, if we looked back at the games we played, I think Mike, Robin, and me, we'd all agree that some of the games off of the actual party packs were more fun. We played some Guespionage, which I really enjoy. Mike and I really like Guespionage. We did classic, just You Don't Know Jack trivia from party pack number 1, which is great. And then we did some of these survey scrambles to test them out. And again, they're fun. They're fun. So there's my thoughts on Survey Scramble. Go get after it. And if you have all the Jackbox party packs, it's worth getting. Okay, I've been just dying about how much I'm loving sports. If I have a free moment right now, it's been spent reading, listening, thinking about the National Basketball Association and the state of it right now. To the point where this week, on Tuesday, I was able to get my hands on a copy of the 2024 Monster Manual for you Dungeons & Dragons fans out there like me, die hard. So what that means is I now have the full collection of the updated rules. The Player's Handbook came out in September. The Dungeon Master's Guide came out in, November? And then the Monster Manual just came out. It's coming out. It's this month. Technically, it will come out for everyone on the 18th, but if you have a small game store in your city, you can probably go find a copy of it there. And I've been hyped on this, and I've been dying to look through it. I mean, look, I got it right here. If you're watching on YouTube, it's beautiful. I got the alternate cover, this blue mind flare on it. Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful cover for that book. And yeah, I've been excited to look through it. I haven't even opened it. I opened it for a second. I haven't read any of it. I've been so obsessed with just reading NBA stuff. I cannot get enough of the NBA stuff. And so I've just had a ton of takeaways from it. And I've had a lot of thoughts about it. And as Vandy said at the beginning the podcast and his review of the podcast. I have the worst sports opinions. Well, I'm going to come at you with another one today. So I'm excited about the happenings from over the weekend. I'm excited about Luka going to LA. I'm excited about De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio. I'm weirdly excited about Zach LaVine, a Seattle guy, going to Sacramento. There's some good moves. They went to teams I enjoy or players I enjoy like Luka. And I think the second half of the season is really set up to be amazing for so many different reasons, right? I mean, the reasons of Dallas is going to try to prove that they don't need Luka to win and that they can win with AD, so they're going to be playing hard. The Lakers doing whatever it is they end up doing with Luka and LeBron. That's crazy. That could be wild. I don't want to see them in a 7-game series. I don't want to run into a team with Luka and LeBron. I don't want that. You've got, like I said, the Spurs. Are they championship ready yet? Probably not. But boy, oh boy, De'Aaron Fox and Wemby on the same team makes them a very formidable opponent. You've got the Kings, who are always decently good. Now with Zach LaVine getting rid of DeMar DeRozan and not getting rid of DeMar DeRozan, getting rid of De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Sabonis. Can they put anything together? So, these changes. But then teams like Milwaukee, teams like Cleveland, teams like Boston, teams that didn't do anything yet in the trade during the trade deadline space, who aren't getting any attention, are probably thinking, hey, I don't care where Luka is. I don't care who the Spurs added. We're better than them. And I guess we're just going to have to watch us whoop up on everyone and be there at the end. So there's bitterness involved. I'm very excited. The NBA is in a great spot. I mean, the NBA has been the headlines in the sports news cycle this week. It's Super Bowl week. But I have a takeaway that has kind of bummed me out a little bit. And this is where I wrestle, right? This is where I wrestle with my NBA fandom. Let's just set the table with this right now. In the world of sports, I am my number one professional sports team, Seattle Seahawks. Number 2, the Portland Trail Blazers. Number 3 and 4, we get a little cloudy. Number 3 is probably the Mariners, and number 4, the Vancouver Canucks. So here's why that's kind of foggy, because I definitely have had more Mariners stuff in my life, watched way more Mariners games in my life. I mean, and when I say way more, I mean exponentially more. But baseball's dying to me. I'm not enjoying it nearly as much as I once did. And although I don't watch a lot of hockey, when I do, I love it. And if I ever just dove into hockey, it would skyrocket into what I like. I just don't have that much extra time to dedicate to it. There was a time in my life in the mid-2000s where I had Center Ice, the NHL's version of League Pass or Sunday Ticket, and I watched a ton of Vancouver Canucks games and I loved it. And so I love them. So those are like my 4 favorite teams. But it's weird to me because in the NBA, there's a lot of other teams I'm interested in, and I watch a lot. I watch a lot of Oklahoma City Thunder's games. I watch, because of Wemby, I watch a lot of Spurs games. I kind of like LaMelo Ball. I watch some Charlotte Hornets games. I'm going to be all in on Luka. I was watching Mavs games because I like Kyrie and Luka, so I'll be watching Lakers games. To the point where, when I was looking at my teams that I loved, man, right after the Blazers, there might be some other NBA teams that I'm more interested in before it gets to the Mariners and the Canucks, which is not great. Doesn't speak volumes, especially for the Mariners, that my third favorite team is my second or third favorite team in a league that I already have a favorite team in. But I digress from that because I was looking at my favorite teams. Now, the Seahawks in my lifetime have won a Super Bowl. And of my favorite teams, that's the team that has done it. That's the team that has a championship. And there's part of me that was kind of bummed today because I love the Blazers, but there's a reality that this Luka thing kind of set in for me. And that is that the Portland Trail Blazers, them winning a title is going to be impossible. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen in my lifetime. They're not in a situation to make that happen. They are not a big enough market. And I know that you can look right to Milwaukee and go, well, look what Milwaukee did with Giannis. I don't know how this seems pretty rare. That seems pretty rare. Portland's just not going to get it done. And it's a bummer to me because I love the NBA. But I'm looking right now. The Blazers won again tonight. That's why I'm recording so late. 112 to 89 over the Pacers. I've been staying up way too late watching Blazers games the last couple of weeks. Last night they went to overtime. I was up till just after 1 o'clock. Tonight they made it till midnight, beating the Pacers. The Blazers have won 5 games in a row. The Blazers have won 9 of their last 10 games. Okay? Another team has won 9 of their last 10 games. It's the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the second best team in the West. The Blazers have won 9 out of 10 and are still not even, if the season ended now, they are not in the playoffs. They are not one of the 10 best teams in the West. You've won 5 games in a row, 9 of 10, and you're telling me you're not one of the best teams in the West? That's how that should work. If you win 9 of 10, when I look at the standings, you better be top 4. They're not even in the top 10. And I think this speaks volumes. A guy like Luka is never going to Portland. A guy like Kevin Durant is never going to Portland. Some of these guys who get traded, these big pieces. LeBron was never going to go to Portland. Steph Curry is never going to go to Portland. Jason Tatum's not going to go to Portland. These guys aren't going to Portland. If they don't get drafted to the Blazers, they are not going to go there. I was listening to a podcast today. Zach Lowe was talking about 3 ways you build your team in the NBA: free agency, trades, and the draft. And it was just talking about how the Lakers have access to all 3. They can draft, they can trade, they can get free agents because they can sell LA for the last 2. They can sell LA. Come trade. We'll trade you to LA. You're a Laker. You can't do that in Portland. Free agents. Come sign in the offseason. Come live in LA. Come live in Miami. Come live in New York. Right? You have access to these things with teams that are in those areas in free agency. Someone's not signing a free agent deal with the Blazers, a big dog. They don't want to live in Portland. And, like Giannis, I mentioned Milwaukee. Giannis got drafted by the Bucks. They got Lillard because Lillard went from Portland to Milwaukee. All right. I mean, he just doesn't have a taste of the big city life, I guess. But the Blazers aren't going to build. They would have to build through the draft. And I think when you've got other teams building through all 3 ways, you don't have a way to do that. So why am I bringing this up? I need something to happen. One of the big things with the Mavs right now, there's this underlying weird rumor that I don't think is true at all, that the Mavs are trying to tank and they're going to try to get the team booted out of Dallas pretty much, have the fan base crumble, and they're going to relocate to Vegas. And I was like, wow, that's a wild take on why the Luka trade happened. That's wild. Could it happen? Well, nothing shocks me anymore in the soap opera that is sports. Nothing surprises me. It could happen. But all I could think was, man, get to Seattle. Get to Seattle because I mentioned my 4 favorite teams. There's only one team that I've ever loved more than the Seattle Seahawks. And that is the Seattle Supersonics. My favorite sports team, favorite sports franchise of all time. But in the mid-late 2000s, the Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City and go non-existent. And we're getting close to 20 years of that. Now, 20 years without my favorite sports entity being around. They need to come back because everything I just said about Portland doesn't exist in Seattle. And that's a city that can build, because that's a city that if you've been up to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle is 50 billion times better than Portland. And I hear you all. Anyone who hates the liberal Seattle, I hear you already. Let's take that for a moment. Can you just for a moment take that out? Because a lot of the other big cities are also like this. So, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Big city, a lot of nightlife. Not nightlife like LA or New York. I understand that, but a lot of nightlife, a lot of great food. The culture, I like the culture up there in Seattle. And you hear guys who play for the Seahawks, some guys who have played for the Mariners who love it up there and leave and just love it. They're like, the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. It's a great place to live. And Seattle is exponentially better, to me anyways, than Portland. Way better. So get me that team back, because then I can have my team that I love so much in my favorite sport. I can have them have access to these things like the Lakers have, where they just went and got Luka. It would take a minute in Seattle, and I understand they're not on that level of New York and Chicago and Miami. Although Chicago, what happened there? Let's go New York, Miami, LA. These big cities that can lure free agents. They're not that level, but they're definitely not even a tier below. They're just like barely below them. So I need it back, NBA. I know you're listening, Adam Silver. Bring back the Sonics. We need them. I need to have the potential of something that happened over the weekend happening to my team. And it's not going to happen in Portland. But if the Sonics ever come back, I've always said it, my loyalties immediately go back. They will be my favorite sports franchise. I will be all in on them. And that's what I got for you. All right, that's what I got. I need the freaking Sonics back. Can we do a really, really quick Kelly's What Are You Into? I think we shall.
Kelly's What Are You Into?
Twitter. I didn't think I'd ever say that again. X.com. It's just kind of been a complete toilet. It's just garbage. Taken over by politics, taken over by shocking news and fake news and all that stuff. Twitter has just gone down the dumps. It's terrible. Except for this week. Because when sports are going, when sports are really getting after it, my oh my, Twitter is amazing. And so for a week like this where, yeah, you have the Super Bowl in the wings, which is great, but where there's big NBA news happening and there's like big sports stuff happening, Twitter's undefeated. From funny to actual good coverage, Twitter's great. So I got to give a shout out to something that I kind of had sworn off, not sworn all the way off, but I'd taken a step back from it. I'm not on Twitter very much anymore. Oh man, this has been a very fun week to be on Twitter. Very fun week. Okay, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Comments are coming on Friday. So we're doing those on Fridays now. If you want to get a comment in, go to Sean'sLife.com. You can comment on YouTube, or you can go to Spotify if you're listening there, and there's a comment section in Spotify where you can comment. We'll read the comments for the week on Friday. Thanks again to Vandy for the shout out right off the bat. Also, thanks to the Patreon members over at patreon.com/Sean Whitmer Podcast. Making this podcast happen means the world to me. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.